In fact, I could do a side split a few years before. I kept stretching my hip to be more flexible as I found it as a cool and essential skill to learn. Wherever possible, I practiced a split. Flexibility fascination occupied me. Then, suddenly one day, I started to think it as weird and it didn't feel as cool anymore as I previously thought. I stopped doing splits. But why did I stop? Before knowing that, we will see how much flexible should one be and how to avoid hypermobile joints. More than that, how I am going to connect all these questions. By look, they are irrelevant, but if we understand just one concept, they will come under the same roof. If rest and relax is a mindset, the other end is tight and pump. Though modern approaches in physical training are way evolved from old isolated training methods, still our ideas around flexibility are segmented often. If you want a flexible shoulder joint, stretch your lats. To do a toe touch progression, stretching hamstring is the single thing to consider. To improve hip mobility, do a daily 10-minute split. Isn't it? No. Flexibility concepts undergone a paradigm shift in recent years. There was the replacement of the word flexibility by mobility. Have these both terms confused you ever before? If you wonder what's the difference between them, flexibility is the quality of how far a particular joint or series of joints can be extended, which doesn't care how you are extending it. Whereas mobility is this joint extension under active control of yours. In simple words, mobility is usable flexibility, and another differentiating factor is mobility born with its sibling term stability. To explain this, imagine a bottle with two crabs of straight opposite qualities. You can name it as stable crab, strong but lazy, and mobile crab, who is more active. Here, their freedom can be considered as our objective mobility. The bottle is twice the height of the crab's ability to reach, so only way to come out of the bottle is cooperation. If one crab creates a solid base for the other, it can go out and make the way for the first one. If you consider our body as few bottled cooperative crabs, the optimal mobility can be constructed through the sum of cooperation between multiple mobile and stable segments. Based on the necessity to move effectively, all our segments are stacked alternatively. In pattern, always stable crabs occupy the bottom and mobile crabs the top. We are, after all, stacked dice. Now keep this in mind and we are gonna see how to apply this to improve flexibility. Think if your crab segments forgot what to do in order to come out. That's what literally happens with your joints when you just fill the couches for the entire day or involved in any repeated activities. You are in the position to teach them the prison break. Think if you are just training the mobile crab alone to how to be more mobile. Do you think it can come out? That's what happens with our isolated muscle stretches. It is useless after a point. To improve the overall usable flexibility, we have to work on the entire unit and the cooperation between the segments. Your shoulder mobility will not just come through lat stretches alone. You may need to stabilize those shoulder blades too. To stabilize shoulder blades, you have to work on the thoracic mobility as well. This sequence goes all the way from your head to toe. It's a butterfly effect. And that's why one should have a lot of active mobility drills in training. These kind of drills simultaneously improve mobility of the working joint, stability of the adjacent joint, sometimes contralateral joint, and motor control to develop task-specific flexibility. This can be an active engagement of the muscle of interest or the opposing muscle. In addition, when you actively engage the opposing muscle, the muscle that you want to stretch get relaxed automatically by the mechanism called reciprocal inhibition, which allows any individual muscle to move freely without restriction. Just in case if I want to improve my wrist mobility in extension, rather than stretching my wrist flexor passively, I can consider the active engagement of wrist extensor, which sends the signal to the wrist flexor muscle to get relaxed. This is called reciprocal inhibition. And in nature, this is how our flexibility works, either through activation of the intended muscle at its end length or through the contraction of the opposing muscle, not by the hours of sitting in a passively stretched position. Time for Q&A. It's pretty obvious already, but still I will explain in short. Why did I stop doing splits? First reason, it affects the joints inappropriately. It created mobile joints more mobile and stable joints more mobile again. This created enormous shear force in my knee and started to create pain. Mobility compensation from the joint, which was supposed to be stable just to fulfill the extreme flexibility demand imposed on it, was the first reason why I stopped doing splits. The same is applicable for a hyperextended knee. Very rarely, any defect or hyperlaxity causes these hypermobile knees. Just a bad training method or bad gait pattern can be the common reason. In that case, if you are someone with the hyperextended knees, check this. Check if one of your grabs is not doing its job well. Mostly, that grab will be the next joint above or below. In this case, your glute muscle. If it lets the hamstring muscle to do its work, you end up with a banana knee. Check your stretches and training techniques whether it follows this global rule. Work on your balance, glute activation, lumbo-pelvic coordination, daily postural behaviors, walking mechanics, and ankle mobility walks. Rather than pull your weight against gravity, just push through it. Distribute this work to your glute muscle.
Second reason, it affected my lower body strength. I explained in the last video how an extreme stretch causes strength loss. Not only flexibility, all training variables come with a cost. If you want to do extreme stretch, you have to always counteract with strength training. I simply don't want that extra work, and so I stopped doing splits. And it also requires a lot of techniques. There are several studies reporting the onset of low back pain in young gymnasts, mentioning the back bridges, a basic gymnastic posture, as responsible for that. They recommend thoracic emphasized back bridge practice instead of lumbar emphasized. What that means? To attain that extreme flexibility for the back bridge position, they are supposed to use their chest region comparatively more than their abdomen region. This indicates if you can't apply the techniques right, it ends up with negative effects. If you are not involved in any specialized sport activity, this kind of flexibility is too costly for this.
Third reason, how much flexibility is enough? This much, or this much? Here nothing is like too much is too good. What we need is balance. We need the amount of flexibility which is part of our daily frequent activities and training demands. We need the amount of flexibility where all these segments give the right amount of spatial contribution in overall movement.
I prefer usable flexibility, not to exhibit. So just attaining those extreme ranges didn't help me with handling those extreme, and so I stopped doing splits. We are moving through the movement of the individual joints. In order to maintain the integrity of a particular joint, the muscles and tissues around it has to be maintained in a balanced way. If it's go out of balance, which is in the case of inactivity and lack of movement variability, this scenario pushed the entire structure to go out of balance, which we are experiencing as joint stiffness and weakness and injuries, etc. As our muscles are highly energy consuming tissues of our body, if there is no need of any heavy dynamic duty, it will try to shift its work to the passive structures of our body, which are our joints and connective tissues. This can be highly efficient but not that effective and can be considered as movement impairment or dysfunction. So few things you can consider as takeaway points from this video in order to keep your body balanced, like stiffness and flexibility. First one, don't be idle, move. Second one, move in a right way. Third one, move more often. And fourth one, move with progression and variability. What are this progression, variability, frequency? We will get to know about that in future videos. Just subscribe the channel and click the bell icon to get the notification. If you want me to make some videos you like to watch, please let me know in comment. I will definitely make. See you next video.